The White House on the attack this morning, slamming the impeachment inquiry in a letter to Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. But Democrats arguing Congress's power of oversight should not be taken lightly. Here's Congressman Jim Himes of the Intelligence Committee.
The subject of an investigation doesn't get to say, hey, I don't want to cooperate here. A subpoena is a very serious document. It literally means under penalty. If you don't show up, there is a penalty, jailing and fines and that sort of thing. So subpoenas will be received by all of the people that the Congress wants to talk to. They will ignore those subpoenas at their peril. It's just to make a political argument, which is what that letter was, and to stall for time, of course.
Joining us now is Republican Congressman from Ohio, Brad Wenstrup. He also sits on that committee. Appreciate your time this morning, Congressman. Thank you. So your reaction first to the White House, that letter to Nancy Pelosi saying that we will not comply or cooperate with this inquiry.
Well, I can certainly understand the White House frustration because the process is not being followed, and I thought they made very good points in their case going back to Nancy Pelosi. You know, she said that this is not adherence with democracy. Well, nothing they're doing has been. Matter of fact, I got a text just the other day from a retired military officer that I served with who said, if you want to know what Democrats are doing, just see what they accuse Trump and Republicans of. Because you look at this whole process, it started with impeachment inquiry just dictated by Nancy Pelosi when supposedly she hadn't seen the complaint and hadn't seen the transcript, which the president did release. And so the next question is Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff has had contact with the whistleblower, lied about it, and now, to me, he becomes a witness. But through this whole process, they're talking about issuing subpoenas on an impeachment inquiry that we haven't had a vote on. Voting is democratic, and that's how it's supposed to happen. So we're in a situation right now, in the minority on the Intelligence Committee, we don't get to subpoena people. We don't get to bring people in. Adam Schiff should be a witness at this point. He should be out of this investigation altogether. The proper procedures should be followed, and I'm not sure that Nancy Pelosi shouldn't be a witness too, when you consider that she called for impeachment when supposedly she hadn't even seen the complaint and she hadn't even seen the transcript.
Well, they're making the case this morning that this is further evidence of obstruction on the part of the White House and the president. Here's the White House letter, by the way. Here's a portion of it to Nancy Pelosi. Your highly partisan and unconstitutional effort threatens grave and lasting damage to our democratic institutions, to our system of free elections, and to the American people. I hear you backing that letter up, Congressman, and saying that the White House made good points. Nancy Pelosi responded to the White House with this. This letter is manifestly wrong, she writes, and is simply another unlawful attempt to hide the facts of the Trump administration's brazen efforts to pressure foreign powers to intervene in the 2020 elections. So Democrats say that they can make the case that there is obstruction here, and this is just further evidence of that, Congressman.
Well, why is she obstructing a vote on an impeachment inquiry? That, to me, is obstruction. And also, why are we not able to hear from Adam Schiff? That, to me, is obstruction because of what he knew and when about the whole whistleblower complaint. So you see, this can go back and forth, but there's a precedent and a process that is taking place with impeachment before, and it was very democratic in nature. That is not being followed right now. This is people with some authority, sitting in authority, just deciding that they can make up the rules as they go along. And that's a problem. And she makes the comment about the whole process of dealing with a foreign entity. Well, what about Hillary Clinton and the Democrat National Committee paying a foreign agent working with Russians to dig up dirt on a candidate, to dig up dirt on a president that proved to be fake anyway? So you see the hypocrisy, you see the contradiction, and you see a speaker that has also been out there. She was on with George Stephanopoulos saying that what Adam Schiff said at the beginning of the hearing with McGuire was factual, when even Adam Schiff said he made it up, and that was his version of the transcript of the conversation between the Ukrainian president and President Trump. It's just bizarre what's happening. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, and a lot of people would agree with that. Bizarre, confusing. There's a lot a lot to keep track of here and a lot changing and a lot of questions over what we have heard and in the way that we have heard it. Let me ask you about this. The president is highlighting this report. Initially, the Washington Examiner, Byron York, reporting that the whistleblower has ties to a Democratic presidential candidate. The president highlighted in this tweet he or she should be exposed and questioned properly. This is no whistleblower. The whistleblower lawyer is a big Democrat. The whistleblower has ties to one of my Democratic opponents. He's referencing back to that report that there is some sort of tie there. I know that you were in the questioning of the Inspector General, Atkinson. Can you confirm that the whistleblower has ties to one of the presidential candidates?
I won't talk about anything that happened within that particular conversation because it was a closed hearing and supposed to be. And I'm not one who goes and leaks things from various interviews that are supposed to be closed. But let me say this, those are the types of things that we need to know, which goes further to why did Adam Schiff lie and say that he and his staff had no contact with the whistleblower, and then we found out that they did. He becomes a witness at this point. We need Adam Schiff under oath, and maybe Nancy Pelosi as well. That's the point
I'm trying to make. So what do you plan to do about that? Because I've heard you make that call several times now in this conversation.
Yeah.
What do you plan to do about that, you and your committee?
Well, that's what we're working through, is how do we legally get to that point. You know, we're in a situation right now where they're in the majority and they are ramrodding through new ways of process that never existed before. So I don't know if we have to go through the Attorney General or where we're going to have to go to get something done to where we actually get the truth from those that were actually involved with this entire process.
I guess just to circle back on that, I mean, is that something you're just throwing out there in this conversation?
No.
Or is there something?
No.
Is there a legal precedent for that? Do you intend to move forward with that?
I'm certainly trying to find it along with, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm trying to find it with the help of others. But if you think about it, if we were doing an appropriate impeachment inquiry, the minority has the chance to subpoena people as well. But we're not doing that because they made up new rules. If we had the chance to subpoena, I would certainly look into subpoenaing Adam Schiff.
All right. We hear you, Congressman. I appreciate you coming on this morning, and hope you come back soon. Thank you.
Oh, I will. Thank you.
More to come.